Hello. Today's video will be on user management, brought to you by Nelson Systems Inc. I will be using an Eventide Nextlog DX model recorder with software version at 2024.3. No additional licenses required today. You just have to be an admin, uh, you know, to have the appropriate permissions to make and delete users. Now, since we're on a public demo server here, we don't have administrative privileges, but I can still show you what you have to do. So first and foremost, once we're on the administrative portal for Eventide, on the left, we'll come down to users and security, and then users. Now from here, it's all pretty self-explanatory to get started making a user. We're just gonna hit add user. Otherwise, you can click an existing user and hit edit. You can hit delete. You can change an existing user's password, or you can edit the permissions of an existing user, all from this screen. Let's go ahead and make one. Say Nelson Demo 2, and passwords will be something random. I don't like that. Okay. And then in this instance, we'll just be assigned to the demo user. If you're setting up an administrator, you'll just need to give them admin, and they'll default have all of the below permissions. If you're just putting in a user for quality factor reasons, you'll set them up as an agent. Um, Evaluators, etc. We can get more into exactly what these are later on in the video. So we'll go ahead and do that for now. Failed to set the group because I'm not an administrator, but that's fine. You have the option here to force a password change at the next login. So if you just want to create a bunch of users at once and send out an email with the password for them to log in and then have them change that password, that's fine. You can do that there. You'll put in their name and then their email address. Email I would use specifically for evaluators and admins, because if there is an error in the system, such as that one, um, all the administrators will receive an email if that is put in there properly. Over here in permissions, we can see their group membership, archive drive maintenance access. Um, Typically, you are not going to mess with recorded demand, not really going to mess with instant recall. For instant recall, that's how far back a user can go on the instant recall tab, right? So if you have 8-hour shifts or 12-hour shifts and you don't want them to see things from the prior shift, um, you can set that here, and then they'll only have access to the last 8 hours of recordings in instant recall. Furthermore, if you have user tagging set up properly, you can restrict them to only recordings that are tagged with their user ID, so they can't listen to other people's recordings. Account settings here. Typically, I think you would want people to be able to change their own password, but if your organizational policies require that it be otherwise, you can change that there. You can set it to never expire, or you can set a specific date for it to expire. Up to you. These are all pretty self-explanatory. For resource permissions, by default, most everyone is going to be given permission for all resources unless otherwise specified. But if you want to give them only access to specific resources, like PD phones or AMR phones or things like that, this is where you would do that. So you can come down here to either named resources or to any pre-configured resource group that you have set up. And you can select the positions that you want that user to have access to and just drop them over to the left. Again, it's not going to let me because this account isn't an administrator, but you get the idea. Search filters are the handy little things that keep MediaWorks from looking like just a mess of resources, right? So rather than having an all resources drop down that just shows you all of these, you can configure it so that you've got these handy little drop down folders that have just the resources that you're looking for. And you can have those set on a per user basis, right? So if user A only really needs to um, search within the positional audio, then you can just have those in user A. And if user B only needs to look for radio audio, you can just have that search filter set up for them. It allows for some personalization and then some additional security as well, if you only want to provide them access to those resources. I did promise you that we would look a little bit more in depth into what those user permissions are. So if we come down to our downloads, I'm going to show you how to access the documentation. So within utilities and documents, we can find here quality factor manual. You can look at our other videos as well for some quality factor tutorials. But we're going to open the Nextlog DX series document here. This will pull open our manual, and then we are going to look for users and user permissions. Control F works great. So you can see here now we've got the permission section. Oh, that's going a bit more in depth than we want to. Okay, so you can see here, admin indicates whether they're an administrator. Yes, list of user groups that we've been assigned to. And then we've got our default user groups here. Dun, 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 dun. Sorry, tons of information. I always recommend, read the manual. Oh, user groups. Okay. We can see here kind of what the defaults are, right? And you can always configure your own user group that has more specific permissions. I've had a couple accounts that have 30 different user groups, each with their own unique permissions. Seems like a lot, but absolutely something that you can do. Give you a moment to take those in. And again, to find that was just within the documents under utilities. And clearly you don't have to be an administrator to activate and access these documents. But yeah, that was all we have today for user maintenance. Thank you for watching.